Join me next in the show, a former TNA knockout and a former TNA ring announcer and the current host of GAWtv broadcast, the beautiful SoCal. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being with me, and as I told you, I'm a big fan and I love you so much, and thank you for being on my show.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. It's great to actually meet friends virtually in this crazy thing that's going on in the world, but it's nice to meet you, and I hope that all of the fans watching are going to enjoy it.
I'm sure about it. So we will make it a Q&A and see how it goes. So people and wrestling fans know you from your ring announcing days and the wrestling days. My first question, was wrestling your first dream job, if we can call it?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I grew up, my mother was, she owned dance studios, my sisters were singers, so I was around entertainment for my whole life, basically.
Oh.
I thought that acting was probably something I wanted to do the most, but then when I discovered wrestling, I went, oh my gosh, wrestling is all of the things that I love. So it's acting, it's modeling, there's travel involved, so I thought this is really the perfect way to do all I want to do in one industry. So I started watching when I was about 14 or so. Oh gosh. Yeah, about 13 or 14. And I was just so hooked. I loved the girls. Didn't really want to be a wrestler, but I loved the girls that would take the guys down to the ring, like a manager position. And I loved the storyline. So I just got hooked on it, and I've been a big fan ever since.
Being a fan of a glamorous model of a diva era or something put you on troubles with the current wrestling fans. So what you tell them about your opinion?
We talk about this a lot on GAWtv, Grown Ass Women TV, which is available on YouTube. On YouTube, as you are,
Link below.
It is every Wednesday. Shout out to YouTube.
Yeah.
It's every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Cheap little plug there. But we talk about this a lot because, the other hosts, Mickey James and Lisa Marie Barron, they're very well-respected, famous wrestlers. And I didn't want to be on the wrestling side of things. I really loved the Diva era. I loved the photo shoots that they did and things like that. I think it's really an exercise in tolerance for other people's opinions and their preferences. So, while some little girls grow up and they want to be Lita, they want to be Trish Stratus as a wrestler, I wanted to grow up and be more of a Stephanie McMahon character, more of like a, the modeling that Tori Wilson did, things like that. So I loved the Divas for that reason. And when you look back, some of the matches were silly, but I liked some of those bra and panties matches and some of the Diva matches that were a bit campy. Because I thought it was something very different. And I think nowadays, if we have serious women's wrestlers, I think that's great. But then I also think it's fun to have, the pretty girls like Alana, who was a manager for a while, and characters that are not wrestlers. I think there's room for everybody.
Is the wrestling, I'm going to change my question. Will you do wrestling again? Go back to wrestle in a ring?
I don't think that I would go back to wrestling per se. The only thing that I really have interest in is the presenting side of things. So commentary. Like, for example, I did WOS. I'll actually show you something from WOS that I have.
I would like to.
WOS wrestling.
Wow. I like this.
I don't know why I can't get rid of that. I just think it's so cute. So because I did commentary for them, I really found a love for that, and I love interviews. I love speaking and presenting and doing things like that. So if I was ever going to be in wrestling, it would be in that sort of role again. As far as physically wrestling, it was never really my thing. I don't really enjoy it. I'm not athletic. It hurts. It's very dangerous. That's not for me. I don't want to ever do anything like that again. But for the interviewing side and commentary, I could certainly see myself doing that. But it would have to be something here in England. I know that WWE has NXT UK, and we had WOS wrestling on ITV. So there are still opportunities out there. But I also am enjoying doing GAWtv and things that are not only wrestling related.
Awesome. So let's go back to the pop questions and start with the first question. If I told you to describe yourself in 3 words, what it will be?
Only 3 words. Let's see.
Yeah, it's so hard, I know.
It is. I would say glam is the first one. I'm not a very shy dresser. I dress in a lot of loud colors and jewelry, and I would say glam.
Absolutely.
I would also say hustler, because when I see the word hustler, when someone's hustling, it's kind of like you're always working, you're always going towards a goal. I'm always busy. I'm always making sure that things get done. And that's something I really pride myself on, is my work ethic and being a hustler. So glam, hustler, and I would say the other one might be positive, because I feel like I have a really good outlook. I mean, everyone has their down days, but I think I also pride myself on being very optimistic and being very positive and upbeat.
Yeah, even your way on announcing people was real positive way, like it's your style.
Yeah, I think it's important to have your own style, and especially with commentary, like with WOS, I was, in the commentary booth with two guys, and I remember thinking, okay, so I want to sound professional, but I don't want to not sound like myself. I still want to have my silly, punny jokes in there. I want to be myself. You have to put on a bit of a voice when you do commentary, so you sound professional. So if I'm talking to you and I'm giggling, that's maybe not as professional as, hey guys, but what.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to sound like myself, and I was the only American there, so I was actually really happy that my American accent stood out. And even sometimes a little bit of my Southern accent, because I lived in Texas, would come out.
Yes.
And sometimes I thought, are people going to accept that? But you know what? That's me, and I'm very proud of that. So you have to just be very comfortable in your own skin, especially when you're working in a male-dominated industry.
Agreed.
And with commentary, you really have to hold your own, because you're the only female voice in there, and you got to make sure that you're heard without overstepping bounds.
Yeah.
But it's very, very, it's very interesting to work with two guys who are such strong personalities and make sure that you're shining in your own way without outshining them.
Great. Talking about that, what's harder, working with guys or girls?
Oh, I would say, I guess it depends. It depends on what you're doing, I suppose. I mean, usually guys are easier, I think, because they're a little more simple, no frills.
Okay.
And girls are more concerned with, hair and makeup and how do I look and we just tend to be more dramatic. And I'm guilty of that as well. I used to always say that traveling with guys in wrestling was a heck of a lot easier than traveling with girls. Because girls, again, they're a little more high maintenance. They want to do this, their nails done, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the guys are like, hey, we're going to get food, cool. We go to the building and that's it. So
Okay.
I would
They're like
say
easy going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's your favorite wrestler? Let's say male and female of all time.
Of all time?
Yeah.
Ooh. I would say wrestler of all time, and people always, it's a very polarizing thing. Triple H has always been my favorite, number one of all time. I think he's just the total package. I think charisma, talent, in-ring ability.
Okay, now I know why you liked Stephanie.
Yes. And I wouldn't put her in a wrestler category because I don't consider her a wrestler, but she was my favorite character of all time. I mean, that was when I was first watching, it was Stephanie and Triple H and Kurt Angle and that whole storyline, and I was in love with that. And I think Stephanie's a really good example of a boss babe. She's someone that's very female-focused in terms of her business plans and her goals in WWE, and she's always been very polite when I've met her, which is exciting because I'm such a huge fan. I've never actually gotten a chance to sit down with her and be like, my whole career is modeled after you, but maybe I'll do that one day. Wow. But as far as a female wrestler, I mean, I have to say, I think the three top wrestlers for me in terms of ability and being total packages are, no joke, and I said this before we even started GAWtv, Lisa Marie Varon, Mickie James, and Gail Kim. I think those are the top three.
100% agree with you. And different styles,
Right, they're very different, but they're all, they tick every single box. They're great in the ring. They're great with the fans. They're good girls. They're smart girls. They're very strong but still feminine, and I think that's very important to not really diminish your femininity, but actually to expound upon it and to really let that shine, because that is what sets you apart. I think it's funny how some women wrestlers sort of try to do stuff more like the guys, and it's like, no, your power is in being female.
Right.
So, you take that and you run with it, and you don't ever apologize for being, a female and for being a strong female.
Absolutely. What was the most embarrassing thing that happened to you during announcing or wrestling?
Oh. I had a few things. I actually, I talked about this on my Patreon because someone was asking the same thing, and I can think of a few things. I know on my third show, I fell down a flight of stairs, like Three Stooges style. I didn't hurt myself. It was funny. And wasn't funny to me, but it's funny now. And at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, it was my third show ever, and all the wrestlers saw it. And then another time, I was getting into the ring, I was managing, and I had all of these long beads, like pearls, and I got into the ring, and my necklace just burst, the string broke, and all of the beads went all over the ring, and we had to take 5 minutes to clear it up.
So embarrassing.
It was a jewelry malfunction.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I'll never forget that. And then the wrestlers were pretending to slip on them, and I'm like, you guys, stop it. This is not good.
During your TNA days, and you had announced like the most legends of the wrestling worlds to their way to the ring. Is one name that you dream to announce?
Oh, I have to say, when it comes to that, I think to myself when I remember I wrote a script for a commercial for Hulk Hogan, and he read it. I think it was just a few lines, but I still wrote it, and he read it out loud, and I filmed a commercial with him. And I was like, oh my god, I actually wrote script for Hulk Hogan. And then I announced for him a couple of times. I was like, what universe am I in that I can announce Hulk Hogan? That's just like the most. You don't get any better than that. It's the most amazing thing ever.
Absolutely.
I don't think I've ever announced Ric Flair. I might have. I don't know. I guess Triple H would be pretty darn cool. I mean, because he's my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Great.
Or Vince McMahon would be cool too, because I want to see him all dressed up and doing that look.
You know his entrance.
I do. I'm trying to channel Vince McMahon today with my blazer. How am I doing?
Okay. Between WWE, TNA, and AEW, if you ask to go back announcing on one of these, who you will choose? Who will you rather?
I think logistically speaking, geographically speaking, it would make the most sense for WWE's UK brand because I'm in the UK. I mean, I watch AEW. I've watched Impact. Obviously, Impact is very different from when I was there, but they're still thriving and doing an amazing job. I worked for All In when they were in Chicago in the first AEW, before it was AEW show.
Okay.
And that was really amazing to interview some of those guys and to work with Fight TV. But I would say, WWE is something that I've never really I haven't ticked that box off yet. I've worked for them backstage. I've done extra work, but I've never actually been contracted to. So I think to work for WWE maybe in the UK would make the most sense if I were to ever go back in any sort of wrestling capacity.
After 9 years of working with Impact Wrestling, the $1 million question, why did you leave? What happened?
Doesn't that sound crazy that it was 9 years of my life? That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time, but it's an amazing time. Like, wow.
It's really cool, but it just seems like 9 years is a long, because people don't remember that. They're like, you were there for 9 years? I'm like, yeah, dude. I grew up in that company, which is really cool. Well, around that time, everyone was really kind of being let go, and everything was happening, changing, and people were, every single week I would go to work, things were changing, and I thought, well, there's some shakeups going on. It's almost like a brand shakeup like WWE does. It's like roster switching and I actually at that point was kind of getting a bit frustrated that I wasn't really, seen on the TV show a lot. I think everyone knows that from interviews that I've done, that I wasn't ungrateful, but I was like, I've been here a really long time. I did my manager storyline, which was great. But
you was on Exclusion maybe the most time on your last days, if I'm right.
Again?
Right?
What's that?
You were on Explosion show announcing only.
Yeah, I was on Explosion, and I was kind of doing house shows, the stuff that was not really on the mainstream show, which I was kind of like, I've been here a long time, and I was doing everything on the internet, which was funny because it ended up working in my favor a little bit because I was doing like the French commercials and a lot for the UK. So when I moved here, I was kind of like, oh, people know almost even more so who I am as far as Impact because I was on the UK versions on Challenge TV a lot more than some of the other girls.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I thought that was kind of a nice little bonus. But yeah, so I remember thinking, I wanted to kind of move up in the company, and I didn't feel like I was even moving up or standing still. I kind of felt like I was kind of going backwards. So I kind of decided that I wanted to talk to them and kind of say, hey, perhaps this next contract, let's just call it a day. And then it was really weird. It was a thing where they sent a new, I can't remember, it was like they sent a new contract, then they said they canceled the contract, then I got a call, and they were like, well, we're going to send you a new contract, but it's going to be kind of like less than it was. And I just thought, you know what? I'll think about it. I remember talking to Dixie Carter, and I said, thank you, I'll think about it. And as soon as I hung up, I knew that I didn't want to re-sign. It was just time. I've been there for so long, and if you're not moving forward, you're kind of standing still. Or like I said, in my case, I felt like I've kind of done all I can do here. And I always want to be doing something where I'm growing. I didn't feel like I was growing or challenging myself in talent. And that's why, again, I'll go back to WS, because that's where I felt like I am very critical of what I do, but I look back on that and I think I did a damn good job. Excuse my language.
You did.
But I was proud of that because I worked really hard to be comfortable on commentary and do a good job. And I felt like I was being challenged, and they really, really trusted me with that position, and I think I did a good job. So I wish that Impact would have done something and trusted me with commentary, more announcing, whatever it was. And I don't think that trust was there, sadly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is wrestling live, traveling and stuff, is it fitting the life of married person and making family, or it's hard to have the two apples in hands?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Sorry. I would say it really depends. I think in some ways I'm really lucky that my 9-year tenure with a company where I was traveling all the time was when I was mostly single. So I think that was kind of a nice fit. I think it's different for people that want to have children. It's not really on my cards at the moment. My husband and I have been married actually 4 years. We had our anniversary just a few days ago. Yay for that.
Congratulations.
I'll show you a little picture. I have a picture
Happy
here.
anniversary.
Oh, thank you so much. That's our engagement day. That is Downton Abbey, the Highclere Castle in the back where he proposed.
That's
Very
awesome.
Yeah. He's wonderful. His name's Alan. So me being married, I would never want to travel like I did back in the day. But I can't even imagine having kids. I know Mickie James, she's a mom. We talk about her mom life on Raw all the time. It's a lot to balance, so I think it's especially hard for women. But luckily, like I said, right now I'm not in that position to want children yet. But it's something that people forget that women have to deal with, because think about all the time you have to take off and time away from your child. It's got to be really, really tough. So I commend Mickie for being such a great role model and a great mom, a great wife, and a great wrestler and employee at the same time. It's a lot to juggle.
That's right. SoCal, in the end, let's talk about GAWtv broadcast. It's very new. You're not only talking about wrestling stuffs, no, you're talking about literally everything. You even had a ghost hunter guest in your show, which was very scary, but it's like a new content. What you can tell us about it briefly?
Well, thank you so much for mentioning that. So Mickie James, Lisa Marie Barron, and myself decided that we wanted to make a show that was almost like a slumber party with cocktails. So it's almost like if a fan was going to meet us, say, in a hotel room after the show, and we're all decompressing and we're just hanging out, we're talking about life, our careers, our marriages, or whatever, fashion. We wanted it to be a show that was just kind of girl talk. Of course, there's going to be a lot of wrestling involved. We have a lot of wrestling guests, and all of our fans are mostly from wrestling, but at the same time, they're seeing a side of us that they've never seen before, especially in terms of Mickie and Lisa. They're these huge super heroine women that are these strong wrestlers, but there's also a really sensitive side to them. We talk about everything from, the paranormal to childhood, stuff that happened in our childhood, to relationships, a lot about, just everyday things, skincare, beauty, wine, things that we love, music. We've had music guests on there. We've had reality TV show guests. We have some really exciting ones coming up. From some of my favorite shows like Bling Empire and Real Housewives. That's what I really, really love, RuPaul's Drag Race. So we're really kind of pulling from different areas of our lives that we want to talk about that's not wrestling. So if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to love it no matter what, especially when our wrestling guests are there. But if you really would just want to have an in-depth, unfiltered conversation with us, it's something to watch and you're going to love it. It's so much fun. We always ask who you're wearing, what are you drinking. We get guests to, get on a more personal level, not just a, hey, when did you start your career? We want it to be more of a fun conversation and get everybody to be at ease and casual. So it's a lot of fun. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. GAWtv, GAWtv.com has all the info, and we post about it constantly. So
great, and I'm putting the link in the description. What?
Hopefully we'll see you in the chat room sometime.
Oh my god, I will be so happy to be with you.
I'll hold you to that. We'll have to see you in there someday.
Thank you so much, SoCal. I'll be so happy for doing this. Thank you for being my guest, and I'm really appreciated of this little conversation, and hope you a great day.
Thank you so much. You have a great day yourself. Thank you for having me on. It's been such fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you.